adventurers! Today I'm going to be doing a video kind of what of course you saw in the thumbnail and then the title, books that just stuck with me. So a book that just stuck with me, what I mean by that is something that after I finished reading it, time has passed and it'll still pop into my head, something will remind me of it. I'll be like, huh, that happened in this book, or something similar happened in this book. And it really interests me which books really stick with me because I don't like all of them. So jumping right in to a book I didn't like that stuck with me a lot, and I still think about it. Stuff comes up and I think about it, and I guess the book was very vivid, and kudos to the author on that. And this is Comes a Horseman by Robert Lebrullo. The writing was very vivid. I didn't like the story. It frustrated me. There's a lot of things about it that just frustrated me, and now it's been so long since I've read it that I couldn't exactly pinpoint what that was that frustrated me so much. But I didn't love the book, but it stays in my shelf because I keep thinking about it for whatever reason. It just keeps popping back into my head. So Comes a Horseman by Robert Lebrullo really stuck with me. Despite having strong dislikes about certain descriptions, the overall story was vivid. Despite being confused about events and how they were taking place in the order of things, it worked. It did feel drawn out. There was some character, not necessarily part of their arc, I wouldn't say, but just events that happened between the characters that I didn't feel were led up to enough, that felt a little forced. And it was a long book, and overall I didn't love it. Like, I wouldn't probably recommend it to most people, but it stuck with me and I think about it, and the scenes that I read were very vivid. So the next book is Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. I actually started this book, got about halfway through, and I put it aside for about 2 months. And I ended up picking it up again because I didn't put it aside because I disliked it. I just put it aside because it wasn't the right book at the time. And I picked it back up, I loved it, and this is another one of those things that was very vivid. There was a lot of abstract style events that happened in Something Wicked This Way Comes. I keep thinking about either phrases or words used or little bits of events. Ray Bradbury has a really interesting writing style, something that's a lot of fun to follow. And I really enjoyed reading this overall. It is a book that I would recommend to more people, and it was a great book. I did like this book. It was different. It was so different from anything I've ever read. I loved the theme was so focused on family. Something as a theme you don't actually see a lot, I don't feel like, and it was really well done, and it wasn't weakened by the theme, which is another case that happens, is when a story is focused on a theme, maybe the theme of family, and it's weakened by it. So Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. Another book, so my next book is Carrie by Stephen King. I don't own a hard copy of that. That's a book that really stuck with me. It was my first Stephen King novel, and I hadn't really read anything like it. She had some sort of telekinesis, and it was really fascinating seeing all the different elements between her mother and her interactions with children, with the other people at her school, how everything went down relating to that really was very interesting to me. That's a book that stuck with me, that keeps popping into my head. And then tied right along with it, because for some reason there was one scene in Carrie where there was a farm, and for whatever reason I pictured the farm in Animal Farm, which transitions right into this next book, which is Animal Farm by George Orwell, another book that really stuck with me. Things I'll think about when I think of animals, when I think of farms, this one pops into my head probably more often than any other farm, and it surprises me because I don't expect to be thinking about Animal Farm, and then I'm thinking about Animal Farm. 1984 did stick with me a lot too, but I feel like that one's a little more, I'm reminded of something and then I think of it, where these I'm reminded, it doesn't take anything to remind me of it, and I'll start thinking about these books. And the last two I've got here, I had a hard time. I was just gonna pick one, but I couldn't because I didn't remember which stuck with me more. So Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This is a book I read probably 4 years ago, and I really enjoyed it, Wuthering Heights. It was an interesting read. I love the Bronte sister books. They're very fascinating to me, and I love following the characters along in the different twists. Wuthering Heights is known for being dark, and I really enjoyed the whole thing. Guys, I enjoyed the whole thing. It's a book that really stuck with me, that I think about often. Specifically the extra dark scenes really made an impression, and they'll pop into my head at awkward times. I try not to verbalize them because they're not usually appropriate in the setting, but Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte was a book that really stuck with me, and I did like Wuthering Heights. And then next is The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte, another story that really stuck with me, and I know I tried to watch one of the film renditions of this. I don't know which one it was, or if there's more than one, I'm not really sure. But The Tenant of Wildfell Hall really made an impression on me. It stuck with me, and the different characters came alive in a very specific way, which is something I notice a lot with the Bronte sister books. And all of these stories have very specific characters. I mean, Animal Farm is a little bit different because they're animals, and just the perspective is different. Still written as characters, I guess. Yeah, maybe it's the characters that made them stick with me so well. It's hard to say. I don't know. That's the thing about these books. Like, Comes a Horseman I didn't love. The other books I did actually like. But it was so hard to figure out what I liked about them that stuck with me so much. Maybe, you know, I like the writing style of Ray Bradbury, so that one made sense, of course. George Orwell's Animal Farm is a renowned book. That one makes sense. People have very mixed feelings about The Tenant of Wildfell Hall and Wuthering Heights. A lot of people don't like Wuthering Heights. A lot of people don't like Jane Eyre. There's a lot of different opinions about these books, and it's interesting. So those are 6 books that really stuck with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what are some books that just stuck with you. Thank you all for watching Erudite Adventure. Stay warm.